And good evening. Welcome to the world of money. I am Sabrina Lamb, the founder and executive director of the World of Money, a 16-year nonprofit based in New York City, the leading provider of immersive youth financial education. 120 immersive classroom hours. And I'm so excited to be here today. You know why? Because the average age of the person that I know is 12. So in this space, I get to speak with adults, amazing visionary. So let's get started. And by the way, we're going to be here. I'm going to bring in a special guest, and then we're going to hop over to Instagram, and that might be ugly, but I want you to join us over there. So first, coming to the world of money stage is the CEO of the Frugal Athlete, as well as a major league professional soccer player, Mr. Emoji Ukugo. Yes, Ukugo. Yes.
Thank you so much.
And coming to the stage from the NFL's Arizona Cardinals is Mr. DEVON Kennard.
What's up,
Yay!
guys? How you doing?
So listen, I think the most urgent question is, okay, you're professional athletes, and usually the story is, well, professional athletes, they like to spend everything. So what is this thing with Amobi and DEVON really passionate about financial education? Let's please share.
Yeah, so for me, it was when I saw the 30 for 30 Broke documentary. Obviously, there's a stigma around athletes spending their money, but there's a new wave of athletes that are, kind of reversing that stigma and using the money that they make throughout their career and using the resources that they have to build a life well spent. And I know DEVON can speak to that as well. But that 30 for 30 Broke documentary on ESPN really changed my mindset around, all right, how do I make my money work for itself over time? And that's kind of been my mindset and why I started a Frugal Athlete.
But DEVON, everyone saw that 30 for 30 broke for broke, okay? And it's still continuing in terms of professional athletes being financially vulnerable. Something about it got your attention and you decided to do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, similar to Amobi, it was just my dad played in the NFL as well, and growing up and learning from him and seeing the mistakes he made, the right decisions he made, and just making a decision that I wanted to be financially literate. I wanted to make sure that I was able to take care of my family and create what generational wealth and change the trajectory of my family and future generations. And once you get your mindset on that and you really devote yourself to learning and growing in that space, it kind of becomes addicting.
Okay, when did the lights come on for both of you, Amobi, DEVON? When did the lights come on saying, I'm going to do something different?
For me, it was when I got my first paycheck. Growing up, you play sports all your life. I didn't really have like a real job per se. And I did like some side hustles, reffing on the side, helping family friends with like remedial tasks around the house. But when I got my first paycheck and my signing bonus, it was like, oh wow, this is like real. This is tangible. I can like touch it now. So I was like, all right, I need to know, how to manage my money properly. And obviously you learn more as you go. So I started with the basics because, just like in sports, you have to master the basics before you can get to the complex things. And that's kind of how it happened for me. And then as I talk about the 30 for 30 Broke documentary, that's kind of what expedited and sped up my process of, okay, I play soccer in the United States. We don't get compensated nearly as much as NFL or NBA or MLB. So if players at this caliber that are making this type of money are making these mistakes, all right, I got to like double down on, being frugal, being efficient, and just being smart with how I spend my money wisely.
So I like to dig a little deeper because when I speak globally about this financial education urgent mandate, what I've come to realize it's everyone doesn't really believe that, right? That there's cultural idiosyncrasies, there's gender-based understanding of money and our relationship to it coming up in your family, in your culture, in your communities, respective communities. What were the lessons that you heard about money?
For me, it was one of those things nobody really talked about. You're not supposed to worry about somebody else's pockets or what they got going on. So it's like it was kind of taboo, like, oh, don't talk about money at the dinner table, or not really understanding it. And for me, I want to flip that on its head. I have a daughter, I have another daughter on the way, and I want them to know and understand what a dollar is worth, how to do very basic things. We go get all these years of education and go into the real world, and we don't know fully understand the basics that applies to everyone. And I think it's a shame, and I see it starting to shift, but in my opinion, not fast enough and not to enough people. So I'm really excited to be joining you guys and spreading the word and spreading financial literacy.
Yes. Amobi?
Yeah, to speak on that, growing up, so I'm first generation Nigerian American. So,
Woo!
so what we heard was there's food at home, and no, we can't do it, or money doesn't grow on trees. So it wasn't anything around, okay, this is how you do this is how you do that. It was more of, you'll figure it out when you get older. And then now we get older, and then now you're trying to play catch up. So what you guys are doing with World of Money, and obviously Devon has done this in the past, speaking to kids on financial literacy, and myself as well. The earlier the better, because we don't want to play catch up anymore. We don't want to have to. We want to be able to give ourselves a head start. So that's kind of what it's about.
Absolutely. And before we go into the Frugal Athlete, you launched a foundation. Could you talk about the mission of your foundation?
Yeah, so the OKUGO Foundation was started like as a play on my last name. So respect to anyone that started a foundation, because I had no idea what I was doing beforehand. But essentially, our goal is to help children from low-income backgrounds through financial education, athlete empowerment, and social programming. So whether it's financial literacy workshops and soccer clinics, soccer is still an expensive sport to play. So if we can expose it to kids in underserved communities, expose them to the game, teach them health and wellness through soccer. That's what it's all about. And then social programs. So hopefully, provide like field trips and different activations to kids that, don't really get those opportunities.
And Devon, so you're a real estate investor expert. Why real estate? Why are you passionate about real estate?
Once I got into the NFL, I realized a lot of the biggest issue is guys were retiring. You never know when you're going to retire. And then you create this expensive lifestyle, and you don't have cash flow coming in, and what I like calling mailbox money. So if you don't have any cash flow coming in, but you have a bunch of money in the bank, well, it's not if you're going to go broke, it's when. You're going to be spending down your principal more and more. So as soon as I got into the league, it was like, all right, how am I going to change this? All right, I want to create revenue streams where I'm generating that revenue. So when I do retire, my lifestyle doesn't change at all, and my principal is not dwindling down. So I'm able to maintain the lifestyle that I've created for myself with passive income or mailbox money.
But why land? Why real estate? You could have said, I'm going to focus on cryptocurrency or investing in spaceships with Elon Musk. Why real estate?
Real estate really interested me because it was just an opportunity to buy something tangible, and I felt like everybody needs a place to stay. So I bought single family homes, multi-family properties, and things can go up and down in the world. We can go through a pandemic like we did this year, but everyone needs a place, to lay their head at night. And I felt like, all right, if I go and buy land and buy buildings where people are sleeping, then it's going to be something that's going to weather all the storms, and I'm going to be able to, generate cash flow from.
Love it. And so, Amobi, so you decided, because you could have done something else, to launch this platform, this brilliant platform. You're the CEO of a Frugal Athlete. Why? You could have said, well, I'm just going to make TikTok videos and that's call it a day. Why this?
To be honest,
why? There's always a why.
Yeah, so to be honest, I've always been interested in like business and finance and media and marketing. And for me personally, I learned just as much from doing the content. So I had Devon come on a podcast, and I learned all about real estate. And to be able to learn and teach by sharing what I've learned and creating that impact. That's what it's all about. And, obviously, selfishly from a business standpoint, when you impact, a lot of opportunities can come from that. So that's kind of why I started it. But in the process, I've been able to connect with so many different people and learn so much about, personal finance, money management. So it's kind of like a self journey that kind of expanded into, a media platform where we, provide athletes templates and lessons on how to make, manage, and multiply their money through financial education and athlete empowerment.
Wow. So let's go into the locker room. What are your colleagues? What are your fellow players saying? Are do they feel transparent? Hey, can we have a private conversation so I can learn from you? Or what's the response that you're receiving from your fellow players?
So I'm sure Devon can speak to this as well. When we first got into the league, or I know when I first got into the league, we didn't really talk about, finances like we do now. And then now, as it's become more prevalent in media and people are talking about it more, you're hearing people about, their deal flow and things that they're doing, things that they're interested in. From the standpoint of like teammates asking, it's still private because there's still, things around money when it comes to just that openness. So they'll say like, "Oh, I listened to that podcast with you and Devon. I'm really interested to learn about. I didn't know you can get into real estate that way. Would you mind connecting me with him?" Or, I listened to that podcast with that insurance guy, and he talked about the 4 different ways you can assess risk. I didn't know. I only thought there was 2 ways. So they'll bring me to the side, but as we continue to share more information, continue to get in front of the camera, continue to share content, then, I think more people will be confident and open to, just to share their needs or their curiosities and expose money management problems.
Fantastic. And what are you hearing, Devon? What are you experiencing?
Similar to AMOBI, I've been investing in real estate for the last 6 or 7 years, but the last 2 years is when I really started kind of posting some of the things that I'm doing and talking about it more publicly. And I didn't know how it's going to be received. And that's one thing athletes have to deal with is it's like, oh, just shut up and play and dribble type of thing. And for me, it's like, all right, I wanted to show that I'm multifaceted. There's other things I'm interested in. And once I started to do that, I got great responses from people within the locker room, because it's like, whoa, I didn't know you did that. I did, everything before then was kind of private for me. I was just kind of quietly doing my thing, believing in real estate. And when I kind of came out and started talking about it publicly, posting about it, it started to gain a lot of traction. And to this day, I see guys hit me up in my DM from all across the league, peers of mine in the locker room, guys bringing up the conversation like, oh, DK invest in real estate. What do you think on this? And it kind of spurs some conversations that I don't think would be had. So I want to encourage more people in general to kind of voice what they got going on and the things that they're doing, because you don't know who you might impact when you do that and the conversations that it might, bring up. So that's been a really enlightening thing for me to experience so far.
Where did you learn how to assess a property and the valuation and whether you should purchase, commercial or residential, a mall or whatever? Where do you learn?
It started out just looking online. So I started following and listening to different podcasts. That's actually how I found AMOBI in the first place, with the Frugal Athlete and stuff. I was looking at business and real estate podcasts, reading books, and just absorbing as much information as I could. And one thing I say, that's where you got to start, but eventually you got to just take a shot. So for me, it's like I felt like I had a good base of understanding, and I bought a property that was my first property, a smaller one, because I'm very risk averse. I try to be very conservative, and I bought a small property with a partner of mine, and just to get the ball rolling. And once I did that, I never looked back. And
Mm.
a lot of times that's all it takes.
What was that feeling like when you closed on your first property that you own?
It was super exciting. It's like I can't believe like I run and control that property. Like I have a tenant living in it, and I had a property management company managing it, and et cetera. But like I dictate what happens with that property, and And it was cool to know that if I wanted to live there one day or I needed to, I could. Like, I have a place that's mine that I control. And it kind of got addicting from there. It was like, wow, man, this is really cool. And when you start to see the cash flow coming in, like, I have a mortgage, but the tenant is helping me pay the mortgage, and there's extra money that's coming to my pocket afterwards. So they're paying down an asset that I just bought, and all I had to do was put an initial investment. That just made a whole lot of sense to me. It just really kind of interested me from there.
So, Amobi, what do you wish you knew, let's say 10 years ago, that you know now? What would you say to your younger self? And
I
I'm going
would,
to come back to you, Devon, with the same question.
to be honest, I would just say compound interest. I think that's just one thing that is really important, and not just from the positive side. Save. If you save or you invest over time, small increments will lead into big wins. But on the opposite side too, because sometimes you'll get yourself in a hole, and if you let that hole get deeper and deeper, compound interest works both ways. Obviously, you want to talk about it from the positive standpoint. A lot of people never start because they feel like they're not ready. But $1 day after day or month after month, $5, $10, $20, $100, whatever you start with, that will build up over time. And before you know it, you'll have a large nest egg just from that simple investment that you started with, whether it's yesterday or today or last week. Sometimes we want it all immediately, but if we think long term in conjunction with compound interest, the sky's the limit.
So, I'm going to ask you the feeling question. What's the feeling like to see your money grow, harnessing the power of compound interest that Albert Einstein said is the most powerful force on the planet?
It's an amazing feeling because we play sports, so we work hard. So if we work out every day, we can see the results, but some results we don't see. But with compound interest, when it comes to money, you literally make that initial investment, and obviously there's going to be ups and downs. But if you consistently invest, the returns are just tenfold. And so to see that, where you don't have to run on the field or tackle somebody or shoot a ball and have your money work for you, there's no better feeling.
Sure. So, what questions do you have of each other? Ask each other a question.
Well, I had Devon on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, so I asked him a bunch of questions. I think it's amazing.
What did he?
With
What
real
did he
estate,
ask?
something.
Ask him that question. What did he answer?
Okay. No, I think from the real estate perspective, I know he's done single family, multifamily. I would probably just ask like when you're going to do commercial or mixed zone use, or one of those because obviously real estate it's like once you start here, then you go here, then like you said, you get addicted to it, then you get bigger. When are you going to own like a shopping building or something?
It's so funny that you said that. So before this, I just got off of a call, and I'm looking at a shopping plaza here in Arizona that I'm looking at buying, and it's a triple net lease property. The cap rate's 7%, and it could be really good. So I'm starting the due diligence on there, and just met with a broker. So what Amobi spoke to about compound, it's so critical, and I wish I recognized that earlier in my life as well. I thought I gotta wait till I'm older. And it's worked out well for me, but I'm like, I could be even further if I would have just, hey, I'm gonna start now. I'm 10 years old, and I'm gonna start now. And that's what I think this is great, is like these kids at World of Money are gonna get a chance to be 10 years old and start now and learning. And the compound effect, it doesn't only work with money, it works with time, with resources. So if you're spending 10 minutes every day reading up on stocks or learning about real estate or listening to a podcast on my way to work every morning, I listen to some type of podcast on real estate or business or something like that.
What's your favorite? Anyone you want to mention?
Well, podcast I listen to a lot besides the Frugal Athlete is Bigger Pockets. It's a real estate podcast that I would listen to a lot. But a young kid, a 10-year-old, starting to listen to something like that and just starting to gain the knowledge and stuff, and it's free. You can get it on Spotify, Apple Music, all of those things. So like use the compound effect in every aspect of your life. That's what I would tell myself as well.
So go and ask AMOBI a question now. One that he refuses to answer.
Okay. Well, yeah, he asked me this stuff. I didn't get to ask him a lot. So,
Right.
like with the marketing, with a frugal athlete, like what's next? Like, I feel like you have an opportunity to really blow things up. Congratulations on the 30 for 30. Being on that list, that's huge. But you definitely seem like someone who's gonna keep stacking wins and moving. So I'm interested in what you have planned. I know you got something up your sleeve.
Nah, thank you so much. I think for me, the next thing is just continue to build out curriculums. I think we found that curriculums have been really helpful for not only athletes, because athletes are natural trendsetters. So if we get more athletes to talk, about financial literacy and personal development and business, then the young kids that want to be these athletes growing up, they'll see that as tangible. They'll see that everyone wants to go pro to buy their mom a house and take care of their family, but there's different ways to go about it. Why buy my mom a house if they live in a good house already and I could just pay that off? So different things like that. If we need to talk about it, but for me personally, with the Frugal Athlete, is just continue to build out curriculums and courses and workshops. And our World of Money, we've been able to collaborate and we'll continue to collaborate on doing that, so we can impact not only the athletes but the kids as well. So that's the biggest thing. Whether it's personal finance course specifically for the athletes, passive income strategies, different things like that. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout. It's going to be a fun summer.
You don't forget about me. Keep me involved.
Oh no, most definitely. We'll definitely connect on that for sure.
Two final questions before we head over to the gram. So how do professional athletes address the pressure they feel from family members, new friends that just popped up regarding, giving them their money? How do you manage that? Many feel guilty when they have a huge payday that everyone comes out of the woodwork and wanting their money. And that was addressed in the 30 for the Broke documentary as well. What do you say?
I'll say, one, you got to learn how to say no. And if you're not a person that can say no, you need somebody on your team who can say no for you, whether that's your wife, your financial advisor, your business partner, whatever. But you got to learn how to say no. And with that comes, you got to have a little savage in you, to where it's like, a family member, you can't be, save everybody all the time. If you weren't the one that made it, and before you made it and they hit a tough time, who are they going to? Like, if people say you changed up because you're in the league and you're not doing stuff for your family, well, like, they changed up because all of a sudden they want something from you. Like, you didn't have anything to give before, and they wasn't asking for it then. So a mindset shift, I would say. And I was blessed. I always had it. My family knows. I'm kind of that way, but more guys need to kind of take that approach, because there's a lot of guys that get taken advantage of by family and friends.
AMOBI?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Devon. I think it's tough because it's what I like to call emotional blackmail. You got family and friends that were tug at your heartstrings. I was there taking you to practice, or I was there supporting you when you wasn't, and that you feel bad because you want to bring everyone with you, but you have to have a fall guy, or you build yourself a moat. If you think of like a castle, they always had like a moat where you'd have to, get through. So whether it's your financial advisor or your wife or your partner or uncle, they have to go through that person, so they don't hate you per se. They're going to hate you, but it's just how it goes sometimes. And I think from the standpoint of, we're not saying don't help your family. But obviously you have to, I like to say, pay yourself first. So if you're on an airplane, the hostess, they always say, put your mask on first before you help others. So if I'm helping this person or that person and that person, by the end of the day, I can't even help myself. So next time they ask for help, who they can't come to me. So you got to, be able to pay yourself first, and then go from there. So
teach them how to fish as opposed to giving them the fish.
Exactly.
And how do you vet financial advisors? How do you know this person is legitimate?
So for me, I mean, there's different platforms where you can, check on a financial advisors, their history and stuff like that. Like I think it's brokercheck.org. I definitely have to fact check that. But my biggest thing when it comes to financial advisors is if they're not willing to explain something to me in layman's terms and they want to use big terminology, because that's what some financial advisors will do to make them seem, more appropriate for what you may need, then they're probably not going to be the one for you. Like my big thing is ask why 5 times, almost like a little kid to their parents, like why, and then why. So you just break it down. And if they kind of get annoyed or if they figure out a way, if they feel some type of way, then that means they're not willing to work with me long term. What you think about that, Devon?
No, I agree. A big one for me with that is like, don't get into business with somebody that you don't really trust. Like character is important. So I don't care how smart you are, how much money you make, how much money you say you can make for me. But most of the time, if it sounds too good, it's probably true. So So I'm very, very cautious on who I deal with, to that level. And when you do things the right way and they gain your trust slowly, then it's cool. But another thing you can prevent yourself with is really watch your money. Don't give it to somebody and then just like they got
They'll
it.
take care of it.
Yeah, I don't invest in anything that I don't understand myself, and I think that's
Exactly.
Well, this has been amazing. So my final question is, why did both of you say so eagerly, and we thank you so much that you are now World of Money Youth Financial Educators, appreciate you, but why?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm really all about impact because with the world of money, obviously financial literacy is very, I don't want to say in right now. So you see a lot of people, and no disrespect to the people that are really in it for the right reasons, but I feel like a lot of people are in it because they know they can make a quick buck. And with World of Money, you guys have been in the game for over 15 years. So it wasn't just
Tell me
because
about it.
it wasn't because this is just popular or this is the right thing to do. And the numbers speak for themselves. You guys have impacted over thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of kids. And that's what me and Devon are all about. I know Devon will speak to his reasoning, but for me, impact first, the expertise, and it's not because it's just like the in thing to do. You guys have been here and done that, and the results speak for themselves.
Devon?
Yeah, for me, financial literacy is something I've been passionate about for a long time, and I've been looking for an organization that made that its main focus. And so you combine that with youth and education. I've always taken the platform I have very seriously, and I understand. I feel like I'm coming from a unique perspective because to have an 8-year NFL career, but to have a passion of financial literacy, it's like, all right, there might not be a lot of guys that have that interest, and I really need to go out and show kids and show the youth that this is cool and this is important and this is something that is really can really impact their lives. So it just made so much sense. I'm super excited. I gotta holler at you about signing up my niece and nephew. They already texted me, so I'm in it.
Yay! So how can everyone reach you? How can everyone reach you? Where can they follow you on social?
Okay. I don't want. I'll go. Okay, I'll go first. At AMOBI says, so my first name, then says on Instagram, Twitter, all social platforms, TikTok, if you guys use that. I got my website, and then at a Frugal Athlete as well. Not hard to find. I tend to respond, as quick as possible. I try to promise within 48 hours. So always down for a conversation, always down to collaborate if it makes sense. And it's all about impacting and, trying to leave the place better than you found it. So that's me.
And Mr. Devon.
Yeah, you can find me at Devon Kennard, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and then website devonkennard.com. So tap in with me. Love to connect with all of you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Our special guests here at the World of Money are AMOBI Okugo. Yes, he is a player. I always say it great in my head, and then something CEO of a Frugal Athlete, World of Money youth financial educator, as well as DEVON KENNARD. He's a real estate investor. He's an owner. He's passionate about, and both of them are very passionate about, like they said, impact. He also plays a little football on the NFL Arizona Cardinals. So we're going over to the Instagram at World of Money. So you can follow us over there. But thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here at the World of Money.
Awesome. You guys,